How do you become a caddy? People ask me this all the time. Is there a school? Do I need to know somebody to get in? Do I need to love golf? Do I need to be an ex-golf pro? How do you become a caddy? Well, guess what? I have Quinn over here who's going to tell us exactly how to do it. He's a caddy on the DP World Tour, so he knows the ins and outs of how to do it. Let's get started. Okay, Quinn, how does one become a caddy? I get asked that all the time. Some have asked me, is there caddy school? Is there a school?
Well, it's funny you ask that because next week we are going to be in Paris for the French Open, and I have caught wind that there is actually a caddy academy in Paris that is now training caddies to I guess from what I hear, become tour caddies. Some of the rules, the ins and outs. For me, that was not something that I had the luxury of. I kind of had to learn on the fly. But because I was around golf my whole life and played competitively, I was able to kind of pick up on things on the go, and just like any other job, you learn as you do it more. And but yeah, I will know how to answer that question a little bit more in depth in about a month's time when I'm back home. But
Hold on though. So then what we're going to do is, in the comments of this video, we are going to wait for Quinn's reply to let us know if he ends up going to this caddy school in Paris, and or like maybe what the details are or what the information is. But as of right now in America or in North America, you haven't heard of a specific school where you strictly go and learn about how to become a caddy.
No, nothing like that.
Okay, great. So if anybody watching, if you have heard of a school, educate us. Put the link down there. Let us know if we are missing something that, you know what, you're busy, you're traveling. Maybe you've missed one somewhere. I don't know. You know what? In the comments below, but Paris it is. Okay, so they're going to have one. So how I like golf. I play once a week. I know I'm not going to be on tour. That is not my dreams, my ambition to be on a golf tour. But caddying kind of seems fun to me because I like to coach. I like to teach a little bit. I know that I'm a very good team player. I feel like I have to have a bond, or you need to understand the game in a certain way. Like, what does all of that look like for me? Like, where would I go now to find a player to be a caddy? Am I going to agents? Am I going specifically to a player? How am I educating myself on what that looks like?
Me. You'd probably come to me.
I would.
Yeah. Well, it's just like any other job. You have to network yourself. You got to put yourself out there and let people know that you're open to the opportunity and you're willing to go places. A lot of times I've gotten a call and the player or agent said, can you be in this place in 48 hours? And it's not necessarily always like going from Vancouver to Burnaby. It might be I've gotten a call before on a Thursday to be in the Bahamas by Friday night. I've gotten calls before on Wednesdays to be in Denmark by Saturday. So you have to be really willing to kind of drop everything and go. Which obviously a lot of situations for most people in work and stuff, it's difficult to do. But if you've made the decision that you really want a caddy, you have to be ready to go and willing to go when you get that call.
Okay, incredible. I am willing to do that. I have no responsibilities at home. I don't have kids. I don't have a husband. I have nothing tying me down to Vancouver. So check that box. Great. How many days or weeks on average, again, would I be away from Vancouver, my extended family here, or my friends? Let's talk specifically your situation / DP World Tour, maybe. Like, how many weeks out of the year are you away from home?
I would say typically about 25 weeks a year I'm on the road. That can fluctuate, obviously, depending on the situation, the player, all those things. Could be 20, could be 30, but I would say plan for about 25 a year.
Okay, so about like half. And when is your like downtime in terms of like the break, I guess, that you get? Is it like I'm gonna guess it's not the summers because a lot of golf in the summer. When would you say, like, what months are maybe a bit slower?
Typically November, December, January, into February as well. January, February, the tours start to get going, but normally it's not the busiest times. There might be a couple events in a row. Say in like the Middle East, they might play a couple events in Dubai or something for a couple weeks, but then they might have 3 or 4 weeks off. So those are kind of your off months, which is great because I get to come home and spend some time, for the holidays with my family and friends, and it's a lovely time to get some R&R.
That's great. So then, okay, now I'm on board. I am coming home for the winter months. Do you, while the player is training in their home country, for example, your situation, French player, I'm assuming he's training in France, maybe in the winter months, are you staying engaged throughout that time with your player to keep the relationship going? Are you getting poached by other players in the off season? Are you training them? Are you there playing anything in the winter months, or is that strictly like your downtime?
Again, it's very situational, but I would say, for me, I have a very good relationship with my player, and we keep in touch, whether it's sending memes to each other on Instagram and social media, and just having a laugh here and there. But some players like to remove themselves a little bit from that competitive atmosphere, and with that being said, you're part of that. So it's not necessarily something you need to take personally if you don't hear from your player. But at the end of the day, it just depends on the player and what type of relationship you have with them and what type of relationship they choose to have with you.
Do people get poached in the winter months?
Yes, they do. Unfortunately, it's the type of job that there is a ton of turnover. On any given week, on any given day, you can be fired. There's not a contract that says you get this amount guaranteed. The contracts are more or less strictly financial. I show up, this is what you pay me. You make the weekend, this is what you pay me. But for the most part, there's a lot of turnover, and so there is some poaching going on in the off-season months. Poaching is a very aggressive word, but it does happen. There's a lot of
the business side of me is like, are you being poached? What's happening to you right now? But they're like, who's available? Who's the guy who's making the guy win? Okay, and then the next thing that comes to mind is, okay, high turnover. So if you are a type of person that likes stability, a paycheck that comes in every month, that wants job security, I would want to say, from what I've just heard, this is probably not the job for you. It's probably going to make you're walking on eggshells all the time in that sense, right? You as a person need to have a clear mind, and you need to be working at the highest level for your player that week to show up for them. And in the end, it's like their performance. You're almost relying on the best knowledge you have to provide for them, and then it's up to them to also show up. Is that hard for you?
Initially, it was. It's something that I've really learned to accept and not take so personally. But it is a reality that at the end of the day, you can do everything right, and because there's no guarantees in the game of golf, as anyone who's ever played the game knows. their performance, unfortunately, a lot of times professional athletes don't necessarily look themselves in the mirror and say it's my fault. Caddies are definitely
Punching bag?
yeah. Sometimes we're professional punching bags.
2 perfect shots, Michael. You got me in the water on one and over the green on the other.
But at the end of the day, I think most of the golfers out there know that they're the ones that are pulling the trigger. Like I always say, you control the direction, I control the distance. So, if you do your job and I do my job, the two of us, we're going to have a really good time together. But at the end of the day, there needs to be an element of execution there. So you can do everything right, you can prepare properly. And unfortunately, you can just get a bad draw. If there's no wind in the morning and then there's crazy wind in the afternoon, and you're in the afternoon draw, and then in the morning it's raining, and then in the afternoon it's beautiful. You play in the morning the next day, and you get wind in one day, you get rain the next day, and 85% of the players that make the cut happen to be in the other draw.
Yeah. They're saying bye. Which is incredible. Okay, the last thing I want to kind of wrap this one up with. So if you already haven't watched How Much Do Caddies Get Paid, that was last week's episode. So make sure you click over here to watch that one. The next week's one, which I'm very excited about, is more so on all the things you carry. What does it look like to be a caddy in your little pouch? What are the goodies? What are things that they should have? But if there was one or top 3 things you wish somebody told you before you became a caddy, for maybe somebody that's super interested, that's a golfer out there, what would be some things you would want to, just quick facts out there that you would want them to know to be successful in what you do? And I'll let you hold the mic, but give them a quick boom, boom, boom at it.
The simple 3 rules of caddying are show up, keep up, and shut up. I don't know if those if you've heard those before.
I have not.
But in order to caddy, you got to show up. In order to caddy, you have to keep up with the pace of play, which slow play, nobody likes slow play. So you got to be able to move your feet with 20 kilograms on your back, and shut up. A lot of times players don't want to be spoken to unless they ask you a question, until they get to know you, until they get to know the fact that you're not just gonna blurt out the wrong thing, get to the tee and say, oh, you definitely don't want to go left here, bro. That's not typically how you want to start a round of golf. So until they get to know and trust that you're going to give them the information that they're looking for, and nothing more and nothing less, I would say keep your mouth shut unless you're spoken to.
Fabulous. I hope this episode helped you if you've been on the fence to becoming a caddy or never even thought of doing it. Now you have information to get you started. If you have any questions for Quinn, in the comments below. If you know of a caddy school that you're hi, you guys are unaware, also let us know in the comments below, and we're going to hold you to it to let us know what Paris has to offer in terms of caddy school. So thank you so much. Don't miss the episode on all things that come out of Quinn's bag that he has over here, what we call a belt bag these days, not a fanny pack. Can't wait to see you being a magician in a second to show everybody. So make sure you catch the series that I'm doing with Quinn on what it is to be a caddy on the DP World Tour. Thanks for watching.